Hey everyone, this is Steve Wright and Jordan Reesner, and you're listening to the SCD Lifestyle Podcast Solution number 18. Okay, tonight, like I said, me and my partner Jordan Reesner, we're going to be spitting some more hot knowledge on some Q&A sessions. Jordan, you ready for this?
I'm ready, man. I wouldn't be doing anything else right now.
All right, great. So thanks again for pouring in the questions. Tonight we picked the next 8 in the queue. And again, if your question hasn't been answered yet, we will get to it. Don't worry, we're not skipping or picking and choosing at all. We will definitely get to them all. So without further ado, let's get right into the Q&A session. Jordan, I'm gonna spit one to you first. So here we go. All right, Jordan, first question to you. I've been on SCD since November 8, 2010, and I still have a very limited diet. I have colitis, and I have found great relief from a strict SCD after reading Breaking the Vicious Cycle. I slowly introduced foods, but have only successfully added a few foods in about a month and a half. My adding has slowed down because I figured out that eggs give me trouble. Not only do they cause gut pain, loose stools, fatigue, and body aches, but they also make my skin itch. Could I be allergic to eggs? I would say yes. Okay, moving on. Every time I have trouble in the bathroom every few days, I hesitate to add any new foods and reevaluate what I'm currently eating, which includes cheese and SD yogurt 3 times a day. All right, to the question. Should I expect to still have trouble in the bathroom during healing? And should I keep adding one food per week anyway? Thanks for the help, Jennifer. So two questions there, man. First up on the eggs, I know you got some hot knowledge on that, and then move to the second one.
Yes, thank you, Jennifer. I am founder and chair of the No Egg on SCD Club. So welcome, welcome. Yes, you probably are allergic to eggs right now. So basically, what's probably going on is you got a little leaky gut, all right? It's not a big deal. It's really common. A lot of people that come to SCD have leaky gut condition, in which a lot of the proteins are getting in their bloodstream that probably shouldn't be. So the albumin protein in the egg is probably causing a lot of problems. Um, and to segue right into your second question, um, you're probably having trouble because of other related allergies, and I would probably pinpoint dairy as the first one that you should really address. Usually egg and dairy go hand in hand. They're part of the four dark horsemen of SCD setbacks that we've been talking about lately. So big thing here is I wouldn't really expect to still have trouble in the bathroom during healing when you've been on the diet this long. My suspicion is that your food safe zone is not very safe. You need to figure out a way, probably take one or two things out that are still triggering problems, and once you take those one or two things out, you're going to probably see a massive improvement in how things are feeling right now. So um, I wouldn't focus on adding one food per week right away until you start to feel a little better. And the first thing I would do to probably start to feel better is try dairy-free for like 4 to 5 days. And I bet 4 to 5 days dairy-free, and I'm talking no cheese, no yogurt. Because you have the egg reaction, I'm sure that without the dairy, you'll probably feel a lot better pretty rapidly. And the probiotics that come with the yogurt, it really is a bad deal when you got to stop dairy. Believe me, I've been there. But you'll want to look into getting a probiotic to replace that. Go to giprohealth.com, look up Scidophilus. It's a great non-dairy SCD legal probiotic, but definitely shouldn't be having this much of a problem this far into the diet if you had a good solid food safe zone. So just to wrap it up, try 5 days, no dairy, no cheese, no yogurt, and get a hold of some probiotics and introduce those, and you'll probably feel pretty good pretty quickly. And if not, then move right on to the next dark horseman, which is nuts and nut flours, and try 5 days without those. That's all I got on that. Jennifer, you're doing great. You're probably one or two foods away from feeling really, really good.
Yeah, I would agree. And if it wasn't clear, 5 days without dairy and 5 days, that same 5 days without egg at the same time. And I think you'll see great results.
Yeah, definitely keep that egg out for sure. You're seeing reactions to it, so keep it out for sure. So excellent question, Jennifer. I'm going to move on to the next one here, Steve. For you, this is from Catherine. Catherine says, Steve, I've been doing SCD for almost a year, but only did the intro diet properly for about 4 months ago. because I didn't really understand the importance of starting slow and finding your food safe zone. I've been using SCD to manage ulcerative colitis fairly successfully. When I did the intro diet, and when I need to pull back on the diet to the safe zone, I struggle with the blandness of the food. What can you tell me about using herbs and spices? I know you can boil herbs in the chicken soup, but can you do the same thing with whole spices like cinnamon and cloves in applesauce? And how do you introduce eating ground spices into the diet, and at what stage?
That is a great question, Catherine. And I've been there and done that, and so I totally understand what you're talking about. So, herbs and spices. As far as I'm concerned, you could pretty much start right after the intro diet with some fairly safe ones, which would be different kinds of salts, your different ground peppers. And I really want to, before we even get started, I do want to point out that the quality that you buy does matter. So the dollar store herbs and spices, throw those out. Just go get new ones. Go get some organic ones. Order offline. Go to your farmer's market and get some new ones, and you'll really appreciate the difference that fresh spices will make in your life. Um, so yes, cinnamon and cloves for applesauce are great. I also like nutmeg. Um, I don't know if you need to really treat them like a brand new food and wait 4 days, but if you're going to sprinkle more than, a half teaspoon or something like that, it might be good just to start with one, like cinnamon, something like that, because some of these spices and herbs are actually pretty powerful. Like cinnamon will actually slow transit time for your food, and there's others such as ginger and turmeric that are known to have antifungal properties, and be great for healing of the digestive system. So, as far as when you can introduce them, I would say as soon as you're starting to feel a little better after the intro diet, which you're definitely past that. And I would actually say that this is like the key to avoiding the blandness and getting over the monotony of eating, maybe the different foods you have to eat at the beginning. I would definitely, as far as I'm concerned, some favorites of mine are cinnamon, turmeric, ginger. Let's see, what else? I like cayenne, although you want to be careful with the spicier stuff if you're definitely still experiencing some symptoms. But there's a whole ton of them out there. Obviously, you can get into your herbs like basil and cilantro and parsley and sage and all those. Really, it's just up to your own adventure. Like, how far do you want to go? But I totally encourage it. I think they all have great properties, and just run with it. So thanks for sending in the question. I think other people have this same question and this kind of struggle with the same thing. I will say my favorite, SCD treat is seriously pear sauce with cinnamon or butternut squash with cinnamon. So it's awesome. All right, Jordan. So question number 3 is from Pete. And Pete's struggling with Crohn's for about 32 years. And historically, fruit juices, grape and apple specifically, they don't do well with him. And so his question is, so he's wondering your opinion as to what phase or week that he should introduce both A, lemon juice, and B, herbal teas.
Good question, Pete. All right, well, thanks for sending it in. So when I see people that have problems with fruit juices like the grape and the apple, like you're having, that's usually related to the high sugar concentrations that are in there. So your body's having a little bit of a hard time handling the sugar. It's probably feeding the bacteria a little bit. You're probably having some gas, some cramping. So in going to the lemon juice herbal tea wing of drinks, that's a good area to go. But like for me, in the beginning, when I tried to have green tea on occasion, I had regular just caffeinated green tea because you do want to avoid the decaf. The green tea didn't sit well with me either. It kind of triggered some irritation in my gut. But here's the thing, Pete. So if you're feeling pretty good, then you shouldn't worry about trying something new. If you have your food safe zone and you're feeling pretty good, try the lemon juice for a couple of days and see how it does and keep everything else the same. Or try some green tea. I wouldn't get into teas that are too complex. I would really try to stick with some of the more basic teas like lemon tea or green tea, something like that. But you got to be careful a little bit with lemon juice. It's really acidic, so water it down for sure. But just try it. Try it for a couple, 2, 3 days, and just try to keep everything else constant and see how your stomach handles it. If it doesn't handle it too good, you're probably not ready for it yet. If it handles it pretty good, then great. Keep it in moderation, don't overdo it, and enjoy it. And that's all I can really say about that, Pete. But you're doing great. Hang in there and try some lemon juice, man. It's good stuff. All right, Steve, let's roll right into the next question. How do you know when you can start experimenting with new foods, i.e. less frequent visits to the bathroom, but still waking up at night and still semi-formed? Do you wait until you're having a perfect bowel movement every time to start experimenting with new foods?
Great question. And I would say the answer to that is no. You don't wait until you have a perfectly formed bowel every time to add in a new food or introduce a new variable. This is a really common question for people as they move out of like the intro diet into phase one and they're in the first 6 to 8 weeks of the diet. Really what you're looking for is over time you're looking to see the change get better and better. So you're looking to go from like say a number 7 on the Bristol scale down to a number 5. And if you used to have like 10 number 7s, now you're at like 3 number 5s. I'd say that's pretty good improvement. Let's add a new food in. If you go back to having 7s, take it out right away. But if you add the new food in and you stay right at that 3 number 5s, maybe you go to a 2 number 5s and a number 6, but then you're back to number 5s the next day. I think you're still the slope of your healing is still going up, so you're still making progress. How you can know if you experiment with something and it's not working out with you is you'll go right away to constipation or diarrhea. It's not going to be like kind of a gradual thing. And I would say if you stay kind of like semi-formed, kind of stay at a plateau for a while, so it doesn't seem to matter how many foods you introduce or what you seem to change. It's been several weeks on the diet. I'd say you need to look at your supplements. There's probably something going on there that you can tweak, and that you're probably a change or two away from the perfect poops. So, okay, Jordan. So, question number 5. Crohn's. All about Crohn's. Our daughter has had a fever for 4 days, 103 up and down. We haven't taken her to the doctor for fear of them putting her on antibiotics if not really needed. Now, at some point, she might actually need them. What are your thoughts on taking antibiotics for illness if truly needed while following the SCD?
Good question. So, definitely with high fevers, I wouldn't not take them in with that. I mean, high fevers are kind of they're not really something you want to mess with too much. So definitely just follow your instincts on that and probably take them in and just get her checked out. But as far as the antibiotics go, there's a place for antibiotics in our world. A lot of antibiotics might have been the cause of some of the problems with people that are on SCD, but there's a place for them. There's a time for them. And if they're truly needed on SCD, there's some things you can do to sort of like support your gut flora and reverse some of the negative impacts that it can have on your good bacteria. So one of which is definitely make sure you're taking some lactobacillus probiotic while you're taking the antibiotic. And then another option is S. boulardii, can be taken with antibiotics, and that's actually a yeast. That's a good yeast. It's naturally resistant to like the antibacterial properties of the antibiotics. It's been shown to help support the treatment of like C. diff and other necessary antibiotic therapies. It can actually help, and it also protects your gastrointestinal microflora, and it also, just makes sure that when you're taking the antibiotic, it doesn't wipe out too much of your good bacteria. Also make sure to keep candida in check while you're taking the antibiotic. So it's just a good kind of measure to take it for up to 2 weeks after you're on the antibiotic. But in the least, taking some lacto will really help. Some lactobacillus will really help support, your gut flora while you're taking the antibiotic. Check out Scidophilus at giprohealth.com. They also have SCD Legal S. boulardii there as well. So look into those. They're both really good things that you can just do if you have to take an antibiotic. They're going to help. So that's the best answer I have right now. And if you're in a position where you need to take the antibiotic, you just need to bite the bullet and take it, and just do the best you can to help mitigate the risks. I'm going to roll right into the next question. Diagnosed with gluten intolerance about 6 years ago that subsequently expanded to include leaky gut and all the food challenges that accompany it. The question is, short of telling your doctor or naturopath that you want this test and that test performed to better understand your current health situation, as these can be uncomfortable conversations, particularly if your doctor doesn't understand the tests or view them as useful, how might one go about initiating the various tests you guys have described and recommended over the podcast series? Then he adds, each test sounds valuable in its own way and seems to offer the potential for more definitive insights into particular health problems rather than just experimenting with the inclusion and exclusion of various foods and supplements over time. That's from Jim from Massachusetts.
Okay, great question, Jim. Um, so I guess sometimes there's a couple parts to this. Um, so sometimes it does come down to having to ask your doctor or naturopath straight up for a particular test that you find online. Now you can take one of two approaches. You can do that more direct approach, or sometimes you could you can lead them to the answer. And by that, I mean you're going to want to possibly print out some documentation on which test you want ahead of time. And also on that same piece of paper, create like a bulleted list of the different problems you're experiencing, the different symptoms you're experiencing, and how those lead you to believe that you need this test. And you bring in two copies, one for yourself, one for the doctor. And that way, if they're running short on time or just to speed up time, you can just kind of hand that to them so they'll always have it. But I've done it two ways in the past. Number one is if I'm asking for a test that's like a sort of a normal test that many times an insurance company will cover, such as like a vitamin D3 test or a serum level B12, and serum is just blood level. So any sort of serum level test, maybe like a cholesterol panel or something like that, I will usually just say like, if it were B12, I would probably say like, I've been feeling really fatigued lately, and I've been reading that with IBDs and stomach problems that it's very common for B12 deficiency. Do you think this might be going on with me? And most times they'll say yes, it could be, and then at that point you would just ask, okay, great. Well, can we just get the test to rule it out? And I've really had great success going along those types of lines. Now, if you're going to maybe like a more aggressive test, and by aggressive I just mean one that's probably not covered by your insurance company that you do need a physician to sign off on, such as like a Genova Labs test or a Metametrics or something like that, many times it just pays to be a bit more direct and state the benefits to you and to the doctor when you're asking for it. So, for instance, I just had a SpectraCell micronutrient test done. And to be honest, I've been on a lot of stress lately. I've been messing around with my diet, and I still, like I said, I've been on the diet for well over a year now, and I'm still taking some vitamin minerals here and there. And so I'm really just curious, like, I've been taking really good care of my body for this long, been taking a lot of vitamins and minerals. Do I have any deficiencies left? Is there anything else that's holding me back? Maybe I can save some monthly costs on some of these expenses in the supplement category. So I really wanted to get this micronutrient testing done, and it's a panel that really covers a whole host of like 23 or 25 different vitamins and minerals. And so what I did is I went in and I basically, just talked to the doctor and I said, look, I've been doing this for a long time. You've been working with me, and I'm still having a couple of problems. And one is, I'm still taking stomach acid pills. The other one is I'm still relying on caffeine in the morning quite a bit. So I'm just wondering, can we get this test done to see if I have any underlying deficiency that might be contributing to this? And he was basically like, well, yeah. He's like, I'm not really sure that you need it. He's like, from everything that you've told me and everything we've done, it doesn't appear that you would need it. And I said, well, just for a peace of mind, I would just like to get it done. And he said, okay, yeah, that's fine. He's like, your insurance is not going to cover it. You'll have to cover it. And so that's kind of how the process worked for that test and a couple others. But I guess the big points here are do your research ahead of time. Anticipate the conversation that you're going to have with your doctor. Sort of visualize it and work through it in your mind so you don't get in the room and just kind of like mouth vomit all over them. Like, I really want this test. You got to give me this test right now. It's gonna save me or something like that. You want to stay away from that kind of talk and just be kind of methodical. Lay it out. I'm experiencing this symptom from what I've researched. It relates to this test, and this is the one that I'd like to get. Um, so that's kind of like my rendition on how to work around getting the tests you want and getting the treatment you want.
That was awesome, Steve. The only thing I might add also is there's a lot to the approach. So if you're really intimidated and you feel like your doctor might be offended if you asked him outright about the test, you could always present him with the information just like Steve said and just say, I came across this. What are your thoughts on this particular test? And just sort of leave it at that. And then let that bring the conversation back around to the end, asking, well, would you consider, uh, prescribing me this test so I can get it done and we can check out the results? And that might just be another more subtle approach if you're a little more timid.
Yep, couldn't agree more. Moving on to question number 7 from Sue. Sue says she was diagnosed with celiac disease about 9 years ago, and she's been diligently gluten-free for 7 years. During or after these 7 years, she's experiencing some severe gastric bloating and it's causing back spasms from the pressure. It does not seem to be a gas issue, just swelling, plus she experiences no D or C. She's also been diagnosed with irritable bowel as of 2 years ago. She says she started the intro diet and she's gradually moving into phase 1. The abdominal swelling has greatly decreased and I have shrunk almost a size in clothing, which is good as I am overweight. I am desperately needing some nutritional supplementation and have to give up the one product that seemed to be helping because it contained guava nectar. Is there a brand you can recommend? Also, how long should I expect to stay on a phase? Thanks so much. Okay, great question, Sue. So yeah, to wrap that up, Jordan, it looks like she's looking for some nutritional supplementation recommendations or brand recommendations, and then how long should she expect to stay in each phase?
All right, great question, Sue. First of all, great job starting the diet after 7 years of gluten-free. I was gluten-free for 2 years, so I know the pain and the frustration. So awesome work. Okay, first of all, on your question about the nutritional supplementation, there's two pretty good SCD legal multivitamins and sets of vitamins and minerals that you can look at. GI Pro Health makes really high quality SCD legal multivitamins and minerals. So does Frida. But we always recommend GI Pro just because they're such high quality. Actually, Steve was kind of on the ground floor working with them a little bit when they put together their multivitamin, and it's a really high quality multivitamin. They're all SCD legal. They also have D3 that's SCD legal. Some of the other core ones, they have fish oil. They also have a B complex, a vitamin C, and a zinc. That's also SCD legal. Frida has all the same things. They're tablets, so you might not absorb as well as some of the formulas that GI Pro uses. I definitely would just go to giprohealth.com and check them out and just get started there. I mean, really anything at this point is probably going to help. In terms of how long you should stay at one phase, that really depends on how you're feeling. If you feel like you're not making forward progress and you're not feeling better, then you need to work harder at building your food safe zone. So just finding that core group of foods that make you feel good. And once you have those core foods that make you feel good, you can start adding new ones, moving on, trying different phase foods, introducing them one at a time, and building out on that foundation. So if you're not feeling good, there's probably one or two foods that are just holding you back and stopping you from going forward. So if you can pinpoint what those are, and usually it's one of the four horsemen we talk about, which is dairy, egg, nuts, and nut flours, or way too much sugar. It's usually one of those four things that are really holding people back. So once you can find out what that is, get your food safe zone so you're feeling pretty good, you can start to introduce new foods. It's not a particular time frame. If you introduce a food from a phase and you feel good, you can try them from another phase, phase 2. Try a couple from there, and if you feel good, keep adding more food in. But just do one at a time, 2 to 3 to 4 days, just to see how you're feeling. And then move on to the next food. But only if you're feeling good, only if you have confidence in your food safe zone. So it sounds to me like right now there's probably maybe one thing that might be holding you back. And my guess is based on your history and everything, you probably have some pretty bad bacterial overgrowth, maybe some fructose malabsorption issues. That's pretty common with celiacs. I would think about probably looking at the fruit first and foremost if you're being, held back and not feeling excellent. Look at your fruit intake. Look at your honey intake. How much sugar are you really eating in a day? And think about trying like 2 to 3 days of really low sugar, really low fruit, and just see how it goes for you. And then, just if you feel good, try something new, and just keep working up from there. So you're doing great. Keep up the good work and hang in there. I'm sure you're going to be feeling real good real soon. Okay, great. All right, Steve, this is the grand finale question. It's kind of a doozy, but I'm going to lay it on you. All right, you ready?
Yep, let's do this.
All right, cool. Hey guys, my name is Ian, and I enjoy all the work you do for the SCD community. I've been following SCD for about a year now to control my Crohn's, and I've had great success. Awesome, Ian. Thank you. So, question. It's a two-parter. I've been wanting to get a food allergy panel done, along with some vitamin mineral testing done, and I'm not sure how to go about it. My question to you is, how do you go about getting these tests done first and foremost? Through your primary care doctor, your GI, or a private lab? And then what are the actual tests that you've had done, like type of allergy tests, vitamin mineral tests, and so on and so forth? Thanks for everything, Ian.
Okay, this is a doozy. Thanks, Ian. It's a great question, and it's a kind of a toughie because honestly, I have like a manila folder that's stacked almost like a half a foot full of tests. It's kind of crazy. But so I think you hit on some two really good things there, food allergy testing and vitamin mineral level testing. So for your first part of the question, how do you go about getting these types of tests done? This was kind of answered earlier in the show, but I'll elaborate a little more because you brought up the idea of a private lab. So there are some private labs out there that you as a patient do not need a primary care or a specialist physician to order from. However, most of these labs are for tests that are vitamin mineral stuff, and there's not too many of them, such as maybe vitamin D status or like magnesium status, something like that. So it's really hard to go through one of the private labs because they're hard to find and they're hard to get a hold of. They're usually more expensive. So I would encourage you to go through your doctor, find somebody who's willing to work with you, and kind of follow along what I was saying earlier about laying out logically, what's your symptoms, what are you looking to cure or get rid of, and then what's your thinking on why you need the specific test that you are going in to either ask the doctor about if they think it's worthwhile for you or blatantly tell the doctor you would like to take. So again, that, like Jordan said, it really depends on your personality and your relationship with your doctor on how you want to handle that. And then as far as like some actual tests to get done, so on the food allergy panel, I would strongly recommend that you get some sort of skin prick done. There's several different kinds, and the one that I got, the actual name is escaping me, but we'll put a link to it on the page. But essentially, it's an injection food allergy testing, and that was really beneficial. It helped me find out that dairy actually really was a problem for me, and that allowed me to get my smelling back. So that was huge. But don't stay away from any blood allergy tests. They're not reliable. All of mine came back negative when I was positive. For several others during the injection testing. Although I would just say right offhand that food allergy panel testing is not as important as the vitamin mineral level test. So I would encourage you can find out food allergies just by doing elimination trial tests, kind of like what we talk about all the time, where you take out like the 4 horsemen for a week, like eliminate all 7 of them for a week. So go low sugar, no dairy, no nuts, and no egg for 5 to 7 days and see how you feel, and then slowly add each one back in and see if there's any changes. So that's going to give you the same results as an allergy test. Now on the vitamin mineral level test, there's several different levels that you can get tested. There's serum levels, which I talked about before, which are blood level tests, and then there's intracellular testing, which is where they actually test what's inside the cells. So serum level testing is it's pretty reliable, although it's not sometimes the best level testing. However, it's the easiest to get done, and your insurance company will usually cover all of those. So types of tests to get done there in the realm of everything that we talk about would be you want to get your thyroid panel done, get a cholesterol panel done, really get your vitamin D3 status checked, so that's a 25 OHD test. I would say that's the number one test to get right away. You can get a B12, you can get selenium, magnesium, and these are all serum level tests that your doctor should be able to order. And if you want to come up with like the generic symptoms to get those, usually just complain about low energy and fatigue and those types of things. That'll help your case there. Hopefully no doctors are listening. But the next level of testing is to step it up to intracellular testing, which is the SpectraCell micronutrient testing that I was talking about earlier. And so that actually measures what gets in your cells. And so this is kind of a topic that Jordan and I, we haven't really blogged about too much, but it's a big nugget that we're going to be exploring more this year for you guys. And it's about the differences between what we eat and what actually gets in our cells. So when it comes to what your body's actually absorbing, there's a couple levels. The first level is everything that you eat, not all of it actually makes it into your bloodstream. Some of it gets passed on through, et cetera, et cetera. So when you get serum level tests done, you're actually testing what types of food and how many nutrients got into your bloodstream. When you get intracellular testing done, you're actually testing what got from your bloodstream into your cells. So if you eat a bunch of one type of food and it never gets into your cells, you could have a deficiency there, even though your serum blood test looks okay. So it's really not about what we eat. It's all about what gets to our cells. So again, and at that level, I would totally recommend the SpectraCell micronutrient testing. For other tests related to digestion, a couple ones that I could just rattle off that you want to think about possibly is Genova Labs CDSA stool test. Genova Labs has a permeability test for leaky gut testing. Some people choose to do a small intestinal bacterial overgrowth test. However, that test to me is not as valid. You can just do the SCD diet and you'll get the same answer. So the other thing is for everyone out there who's researching a potential test, I tell everyone that I speak with on a one-on-one basis that there's a lot of cool tests, but really what matters is what is that test going to tell you. So in the case of a small intestinal bacterial overgrowth test, all it's going to tell you is that you have an overgrowth. It doesn't really tell you how to treat it, what exactly to do about it. Now, if you get a stool test, like the one from Genova Labs, or there's several other labs that are very high quality, it's going to tell you exactly, it's going to give you information that you and your doctor need to prescribe the exact probiotic strains that you need to take. It could tell you that you have a digestive enzyme deficiency. It'll reveal any parasites, and those are all pieces of information that you can act on right away. But there's some other tests out there that they're just a little hard to deal with because they're newer, and unless you know, like if a test comes back high or low, what to do about it, it doesn't really make sense to get tested for it, right? So that's kind of where I'm coming from and my take on the whole testing thing. Basically, all the stuff I just rattled off I've had done except for the small intestinal bacterial overgrowth and the gut permeability. I've had all the other ones done and several others. If it's your first trip to the doctor, the first things I tell everyone is get your vitamin D3 tested, get a thyroid panel, which is T3, free T4, T3, TSH, total TSH, and your thyroid antibodies, which there's two of them, TPO and TPI, I believe, Jordan. I don't know. You probably have to clarify that, but there's two antibodies. You want to get those tested, and that's like the number one thing I'd like to have everyone tested for.
Steve, that was awesome. Great knowledge. I love the foreshadowing of our secret research project that we're working on behind the scenes. That was good. But I think with that, that's all 8 questions for the night, and I'll kick it back to you to wrap things up.
All right, cool, man. Yeah, don't worry. It's not like a submarine secret project or anything that cool. It's just a theory we have running. But we'll get you more info on it as we have more time to research it. So I want to thank you guys all for listening and for all the questions tonight. Hopefully we gave you some great answers and didn't overwhelm you, but gave you enough to get started. And we want to just tell everyone you're doing a great job, rocking and rolling on the SCD diet. We're just so happy to hear that everybody's trying it. And a lot of these types of questions that we answered tonight, many of them are actually listed in our facts and questions guide. So when we re-updated our book last November, one of the things that we wanted to do was take the last year's worth of questions that we got, take the most common ones, and create, a 40-page guide that walked you through, just like we do tonight on the podcast, exactly what to do. So I highly encourage people, if you have a lot of those questions, the Facts and Question Guide will definitely help you. That's why we offer the 365-day money-back guarantee. That guide walks you through everything about the phases, how and when to add foods. It talks about troubleshooting, talks a little bit about testing, although more testing is covered in our Hacks Guide. So to get more information on it, or just to get your copy of it, just go up to the upper right-hand corner of our blog up there and hit the Buy Now button, and you'll be taken to our sales page where you can get your copy. So thanks for listening. This was Jordan Reasoner, Stephen Wright, and the SCD Lifestyle Podcast Solution 18.